Welcome back to News 15 today. Joining us now is Dr. Libby Saunier, Executive Director with the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children, here to discuss the findings from a survey titled Struggling to Recover: The Impacts of COVID-19 on Louisiana Families with Young Children. Dr. Saunier, thank you so much for joining us. Let's go ahead and get into it. This has been something that definitely has been impacting all kind of families, especially like we're mentioning, the young families with children in Louisiana. What are some of the things that from this survey that you guys have found?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me. So at the Louisiana Policy Institute for Children, we conducted a parent poll in September and October of 2020. And what we found is that families with young children continue to need child care to support their employment or education, and that parents are really having to juggle so many things with adjusting schedules to fill child care gaps, as well as they're just struggling to afford it. For a family of 4 in Louisiana, it costs more than $10,000 a year for a child to be in child care.
Is that something that would have to come from the legislature, something that we have to talk about in our local communities? How do we get better child care?
I think we talk about it in our local communities, especially around the state. We have Ready Start networks and early childhood community networks to really galvanize the importance of early care and education in our local communities, but also at the state level. We need increased investment. We know that it costs on average around $7,900 a year for child care around the state pre-COVID, and now the cost has gone up to over $10,000 a year. That's more than college tuition at a state university. And so increased investment from the state level is critically important, not just for the families. Obviously, they need childcare, but for our economy, so that our businesses know that they have reliable workers that can come to work because they have childcare.
Right, and there's so many people who need to go to work, and they can't because they have to stay home with their young children.
Absolutely. And it's hard. It's just a big juggling act. With K-12 schools closing last spring until the fall, it put many families in the lurch, but they still needed childcare, and they still needed to figure out what to do for their children, and especially their young children, so that they can learn, change, and grow at the optimal level that they need to. Well,
where can people go if they want to read more about this survey and find more information?
Absolutely. You can come to our website at the policyinstitutela.org. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well, and we have links to all of our reports. We've done a really hard job about understanding the cost of child care and what it's costing the sector. What we know is that they've lost, this early care and education sector as a whole has lost $137 million since the beginning of the pandemic, in our last survey related to child care providers in June. So it's really important that people understand the work that our child care community is doing for children and families.
Well, Dr. Saunier, we appreciate you joining us on the show this morning and for all the hard work that you guys do for young families with children in Louisiana.
Thank you so much.
All righty.